Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, Israel-Hezbollah 60-day ceasefire comes into effect. Netanyahu warns a forceful response to any Hezbollah violations. Chaos in Pakistan after forces launched midnight raid on ex-Prime Minister Imran Khan's supporters. After thousands storm Islamabad demanding Khan's release. US trade partners say Trump's tariffs would harm all involved. Mexico warns it will kill jobs, hints at retaliation. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar attends G7 FMM outreach session on Indo-Pacific, calls for practical solutions and nimble diplomacy. India's Divith Reddy creates history, becomes World Under-8 chess champion. Compatriot Satwik Swan makes it double delight, wins silver. First up, we'll get you updates on West Asia conflict. Ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hezbollah came into effect on Wednesday. The ceasefire agreement, brokered by the US and France, takes effect at 2 GMT or 7:30 IST. Earlier, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a televised speech said that Israel is implementing the ceasefire deal to bring a halt to its conflict with Hezbollah in Lebanon, but will respond forcefully to any violation. He added that the ceasefire would allow Israel to focus on Iranian threat and intensify pressure on Hamas.
So why implement a ceasefire now? There are three main reasons. The first reason is to focus on the Iranian threat. The second reason is to give our forces a breather and replenish stocks. And the third reason for having a ceasefire is to separate the fronts and isolate Hamas. From day 2 of the war, Hamas was counting on Hezbollah to fight by its side. When Hezbollah is out of the picture, Hamas is left alone in the fight. Our pressure on it will intensify, and that will help us in our sacred mission of releasing our hostages.
US President Joe Biden called the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah good news. Talking to media, Biden informed that the ceasefire comes into effect at 2 GMT on Wednesday. The US President added that the accord was designed to be a permanent cessation of hostilities. He reiterated that civilians on both sides will soon be able to safely return to their communities.
The fighting across the Lebanese-Israeli border will end. Will end. This is designed to be a permanent cessation of hostilities. What is left of Hezbollah and other terrorist organizations will not be allowed, well, I emphasize, will not be allowed to threaten the security of Israel again. Over the next 60 days, the Lebanese army and state security forces will deploy and take control of their own territory once again. Hezbollah terrorist infrastructure in southern Lebanon will not be allowed to be rebuilt. And over the next 60 days, Israel will gradually withdraw its remaining forces. And civilians on both sides will soon be able to safely return to their communities.
French President Emmanuel Macron also welcomed the signing of the deal, saying the deal represented a new chapter for Lebanon. Macron also said that the deal should open the path for an ending of the Gaza conflict.
Je tenais à saluer l'accord de cessez-le-feu agréé.
This ceasefire needs to be respected in the long term. In order to restore the Lebanese people's security, the Israeli people's security, permit the safe return of displaced people from these two countries to their homes, and therefore allow the restoration of the sovereignty of the Lebanon. This agreement should also open the path for a ceasefire too, long awaited with regard to the incomparable suffering of the population in Gaza.
Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati has welcomed the ceasefire agreement during a phone call with US President Joe Biden. The Lebanese Prime Minister thanked the US President and French President for the support and efforts made by them. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Tuesday welcomed the ceasefire deal and called for the truce to be turned into a lasting political solution in Lebanon. The UK Prime Minister also hoped for a truce in the Gaza conflict. Hailing the truce between Israel and Hezbollah, EU chief Ursula von der Leyen said that the deal will increase Lebanon's internal security and stability. The European Union's foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, also welcomed the ceasefire deal, saying that it is a relief in the devastating situation in West Asia. He also praised France and the US for their mediation. On a DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us for more. Akshay, good morning. Now, this is indeed an important development in the West Asian conflict. We've seen how the international world has been optimistic about this deal, about this truce. But help us understand, how binding is this deal for both the sides? And also, what are the key points, what are the key highlights of the truce?
Not interested in it. And everybody should understand
that has been filed by the two sides. However, looking at the consequences of any kind of violation, it is going to be devastating, especially for Lebanon, and that perhaps is the reason why the political leadership of Lebanon will also prevent Hezbollah from either rearming itself or from operating against any of the targets in Israel, because that would mean in many ways complete obliteration of not just the southern parts of Lebanon, but also the capital Beirut. Now that has been signified, that has been talked about by Benjamin Netanyahu as well, that any kind of violation of this particular peace agreement is going to mean that Israel will continue with its attacks on the groups inside the Lebanese territory. Now, the terms of this particular ceasefire is that both the Israeli defense forces, in a phased manner, will withdraw from the Lebanese territory in the next 60 days. Hezbollah will move northwards of the Litani River, which means that it will not be present in southern Lebanon anymore. That means it will not be near the Israeli territory anymore. Now this vacuum is created. Now what happens to it? The Lebanese armed forces, the Lebanese army, the professional army, will now enter this area, and they will be patrolling, they will be doing surveillance, and they will be ensuring that the terms and conditions of this particular ceasefire are adhered to by all the sides. So these are certain terms and conditions that have been set by the countries, including the US and France, where the ceasefire deal was brokered, and the votes were as followed: 10 were in favor of a ceasefire, 1 was against ceasefire. Now that in a way gives you an idea that what kind of sentiments are there in the world as far as a ceasefire is concerned in the Middle East, in the West Asian region. And now this is certainly a good news, but it remains to be seen that when is there going to be a permanent peace, not just in Lebanon, but in the entire West Asian region.
All right. Yes, Akshay, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu talked of how this truce and this deal will somewhere weaken Hamas, given the way Hezbollah had been helping Hamas in its in the conflict against Israel. Help us understand, to what extent will this have a bearing on the conflict between Israel and Hamas, and how are both the sides positioned, Israel and Hamas, now?
Well, Preeti, it's quite simple now. Hamas, on 7th of October, when Hamas launched the attack, the terror attack inside Israel, it was Hezbollah as well that was covering for it.
Yes.
It also launched several rockets, and that clearly means that it had given Hamas a direct support. When Hezbollah directly got involved and it was attacked by Israel, its chief was killed, and then we have seen the kind of obliteration that has been done, not just to Hezbollah, but into several other groups in the region, and it's not just Hezbollah's presence in Lebanon, but also in Iran as well. So now Hezbollah realizes that it's either get wiped out completely or stop the fight with Israel, of ceasefire, and perhaps that's the reason why Hezbollah has also agreed to not support Hamas. That is going to significantly weaken the group.
All right, Akshay, we'll leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. And now we turn focus to the chaos in Pakistan. In Pakistan, security forces launched a sweeping midnight raid on supporters of jailed ex-Prime Minister Imran Khan, who had stormed the capital demanding his release on Tuesday. Hundreds of supporters were arrested after they gathered in the center of Islamabad after a convoy led by Khan's wife broke through several lines of security all the way to the edge of the city's highly fortified zone. Also, at least 6 people, including 4 paramilitary soldiers, were killed before Tuesday night raid was launched. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif blamed the protesters for the soldiers' deaths, accusing them of ramming the paramilitary troops with a convoy of vehicles. Sharif added that the violence was driving the law enforcement agencies to the limits of restraint. Earlier in a post on X from the jail, Khan said that his message to his supporters was, and I quote, "My message for my team is to fight until the last ball is bowled. We will not back down until our demands are met." He accused the security forces of firing on peaceful party workers. From Pakistan, let's turn focus to Sudan now. More than 700 trucks were on their way to famine-stricken areas of Sudan as part of a major scale-up after clearance came through from the Sudanese government. The army and the paramilitary rapid support forces have been locked in conflict since April 2023 that has caused acute hunger and disease across the country. Both sides are accused of impeding aid deliveries, the RSF by looting and the army by bureaucratic delays. United Nations evacuation flights are set to land in Panama City this week as the international organization removes staff from Haiti due to a sharp escalation in violence by armed gangs that have expanded their control over the capital Port-au-Prince. Panama's foreign ministry said that 2 humanitarian flights would arrive from Haiti in its capital on Tuesday and Wednesday, carrying 22 international uniformed police advisors and 2 UN officials, stopping over a maximum of 72 hours. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Trump team signs formal transition agreement with White House after delays. Violent clashes erupt in Bangladesh following the arrest of a prominent leader and his supporters. An Electric Dreams exhibition opens in London to showcase diversification of technology.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
After the break, you're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get you more updates. Mexico and China have issued warnings of retaliatory measures, and Canada has urged unity as US President-elect Donald Trump's tariff announcements riled the world markets and unsettled its neighbors and China. Trump chose trade lawyer Jamison Greer as his new US trade representative, elevating a key veteran of his first-term trade war against China. We get to a detailed report.
The leaders of Mexico and Canada have urged dialogue and cooperation after US President-elect Donald Trump pledged to impose 25% tariffs on 2 countries when he takes office early next year. Trump has also promised 10% additional tariffs on all imports from China. China too responded by saying that economic and trade cooperation is mutually beneficial for both the countries and that no one will win a trade war or a tariff war. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke to Trump on the phone shortly after he announced his plans. Trudeau has since said that he is prepared to work with the US in a constructive way.
I had a good call with Donald Trump last night again. We obviously talked about laying out the facts, talking about how the intense and effective connections between our two countries flow back and forth. We talked about some of the challenges that we can work on together. It was a good call. This is something that we can do, laying out the facts, moving forward in constructive ways. This is a relationship that we know takes a certain amount of working on, and that's what we'll do.
The other neighboring country, Mexico, also urged caution. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said neither threats nor tariffs would solve the issues raised and also warned of retaliatory tariffs on US imports if Trump goes ahead. She said that she is planning to write to Trump stressing the need to work together on joint challenges.
A un arancel vendrá otro.
To one tariff will become another, and so on, until we put our common businesses at risk. Mexico's main exporters to the United States, which came to Mexico 8 years ago, why put a tax on them that puts them at risk? Why put a tax on them that puts them at risk? It is not acceptable and would cause the US and the Mexico inflation and job losses. I think that there's going to be an agreement with the United States and with President Trump.
No es aceptable.
During highly charged presidential campaign, Trump repeatedly promised increased tariffs on all imports into the US. Team Trump portrayed the tariffs policy as a key tool to bring back jobs and manufacturing from overseas. However, the experts believe that the new tariffs can have serious implications not only for the US, but also for the global supply chains and companies that do business with some of the world's largest economies. Trump made his threat in social media posts announcing 25% tariffs against neighbors Canada and Mexico, and also 10% additional tariffs on China if they don't stop illegal immigration and drug smuggling into the United States. Bureau Report, TD India.
Wall Street ended higher on Tuesday as investors digested President-elect Donald Trump's tariff pledges on top trade partners and the latest minutes from the Federal Reserve. U.S. short-term interest rates, also futures, paired earlier losses after the Fed's latest minutes showed officials appeared divided over how much further they may need to cut the interest rates. The minutes of the November 6-7 meeting also showed the group agreed this was a moment to avoid giving much concrete guidance about how U.S. monetary policy is likely to evolve in the weeks ahead. Overall, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.28%, the S&P 500 gained 0.57%, and the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.63%. Trump's tariff plan seemed to gather further momentum on Wednesday with his transition team signing a memorandum of understanding with the White House. This allowing him to formally begin his transition to power. The move will allow Trump's intended cabinet nominees to coordinate directly with federal agencies and assess the documents. Trump, a Republican, will take office on January 20th. It has not entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Justice to allow the FBI to conduct background checks of nominees. The transition team said it already had existing security and information protection built in, which means they will not require additional government and bureaucratic oversight. Trump's team also broke from tradition and did not sign an agreement with the General Services Administration that would provide the use of office space. Arrest of Hindu leader Chinmoy Krishna Das Brahmachari has evoked unprecedented turmoil in Bangladesh, where the interim government is already grappling with demands for elections by Bangladesh Nationalist Party. The interim government said that he was arrested on sedition charges and bail was denied to him. On Tuesday, the roads of Chittagong, a port city of Bangladesh, was full with supporters of the Hindu monk. They demanded release of their leader, who was arrested on charges of sedition. One Muslim person was killed during clashes between police and protesters. Brahmachari, spokesperson of the Bangladesh Samilito Sanatan Jagran Jyote group was arrested as he travelled from the capital Dhaka to Chittagong on Monday. Bangladesh government, instead of regretting over the unnecessary harassment of Hindus after Sheikh Hasina government had fallen, has arrested the Hindu monk who had raised voice against increase in targeted atrocities against the community. Also, the harassment of media personnel is on increase in Bangladesh. Groups of people on Monday attacked the Pratham Alo newspaper office in Rajshahi and demonstrated in front of Pratham Alo in Dhaka on Sunday and also elsewhere in the country. Last week, they also demonstrated in front of the Daily Star, a US-based global media rights body. The Committee to Protect Journalists, that is CPJ, on Tuesday called for a swift investigation into the threats of violence against leading dailies of Bangladesh, the Daily Star and Pratham Alo. India has expressed deep concern on the situation in Bangladesh and has asked for putting restraint on extremists, but Bangladesh is reluctant to act on one pretext or the other. All right, Naval Sangh Parmar joins us from Dhaka on phone. Naval Sangh, good morning. Get us more on how is the current situation. We tell our viewers that there is turmoil in Bangladesh after the arrest of a prominent Hindu leader and his supporters. What is the current and the latest update?
Yes, on Monday afternoon, the Chinmay Krishna Das Brahmachari was arrested from the Dhaka airport, and soon after that, the people of the Hindu community across Bangladesh, including Dhaka, Chittagong, Rangpur, Cox's Bazar, and everywhere, they took out the processions and rallies and Mashal March to demonstrate their anger against the interim government, and they demanded immediate release of the Chinmay Krishna Das. However, next day, police establishment produced him in front of the Metropolitan Magistrate in Chittagong, and the court denied him bail and sent him to jail. At the same time, the advocates representing Chinmay Krishna Das asked for the hearing in the upper court, but the judicial magistrate at there denied without giving any reason to give hearing to Chinmay Krishna Das bail petition. And today, after the death of advocate in Chittagong court premises yesterday, today the advocate fraternity demanding to stop the legal proceeding in Chittagong and other areas of the Bangladesh. So it is not very much possible to have a hearing for the Chinmay Krishna Das bail petition in the upper court, and tomorrow also there is very less chance, and Friday and Saturday are the holidays, public holidays, weekly off here in Bangladesh. So next 3-4 days Chinmay Krishna Das may not get bail hearing in the upper court in Chittagong. At the same time, after the death of advocate, many organizations, Islamic organization and the even political party demanded strict action against the those who are responsible for the death of that advocate. And in fact, Mohammed Yunus, chief advisor of the Bangladesh interim government, asked for has given order for the investigation in the matter. So situation is very charged up here in Bangladesh. Both the sides, Hindus or Sanatani side, are demanding release of Chinmay Krishna Das. At the same time, the majority faction, Muslims and the political parties and the other organizations are demanding strict action against the people who are involved or allegedly involved in the death of the advocate. But the reports are coming that it was not a targeted attack on that advocate, but during the clash with the police and the demonstrators who were followers of the Chinmay Krishna Das, who were trying to stop the van which was carrying the Chinmay Krishna Das. During that time, the clashes occurred between the police and the demonstrator, and during meantime, the incident occurred, and in which that advocate lost his life.
All right, Naval Singh, thank you for joining in with those details. So that was our correspondent Naval Singh Parmar joining us from Dhaka, telling us about the current situation in Bangladesh. And from here we turn focus to other news. We'll get to updates from Brazil. Brazilian ex-president Jair Bolsonaro actively participated in a 2022 coup plot to prevent his successor, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, from taking office. Police report says that former Brazilian President Bolsonaro directly planned and acted in a criminal conspiracy that aimed to carry out a coup after his failed 2022 re-election bid. Federal police released on Tuesday the full content of a formal accusation against the ex-president, a limited version of which was filed last week, and accused Bolsonaro and dozens of ex-ministers and senior aides of plotting a coup to overturn the election. Chile launched a preliminary investigation into a sexual harassment complaint against President Gabriel Boric on Tuesday. The criminal case was confirmed on November 26th by the Regional Prosecutor's Office of Magallanes in southern Chile, where the alleged harassment took place over a decade ago. Boric denied the allegations earlier on Tuesday and said that the president is the victim of a situation of systematic harassment. The allegations state that he sexually harassed a woman in 2013 while living in the city of Punta Arenas. Boric was 27 at that time and was completing a law degree. The ongoing investigation marks another blow for Boric, whose leftist government has sought to prioritize issues around women's rights. French farmers gathered on Tuesday in Strasbourg to protest against a Mercosur trade deal while the EU Parliament was holding a plenary session. A convoy of about many tractors drove close to the EU Parliament building after the police allowed them near the EU institution venue. A trade agreement between the European Union and Mercosur countries has recently triggered protests from the EU farmers. The agreement would also give EU farmers increased access to South American markets, which could boost the exports. The French National Assembly debated on Tuesday on the proposed EU-Mercosur free deal agreement, and EU lawmakers will today debate on the future of farming and agriculture. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. A boat tragedy off Egypt's Red Sea coast has left several people dead and others stranded after the vessel capsized near Satire Reef, close to Marsa Alam. The boat, named Sea Story, was on a multi-day diving trip carrying 31 tourists and 13 crew members. On Monday, November 25th, the boat encountered with high waves, which led to the vessel sinking within 5 to 7 minutes. 4 bodies had been recovered, and authorities still are searching for 7 individuals who remain missing. Bolivia signs lithium contracts with Hong Kong company to build 2 direct lithium extraction plants for at least $1 billion. The government will take a 51% stake in the project to be located in Uyuni Salt Flat in southwest Bolivia, with the so-called lithium triangle shared with Chile and Argentina. Despite holding the world's largest resources of lithium, Bolivia has not managed any significant production, and many investors are wary of its volatile political climate. A rare Pudu fawn born earlier this month at a biopark in Argentina has captured the attention of scientists and conservationists alike. The birth marks a significant event in the study and conservation of the Pudu, the world's smallest deer species. It weighs just 1.21 kgs at birth, and the fawn is both delicate and vulnerable. Its white spotted coat, which helps it blend into the natural habitat, is a distinguishing feature of this species, and it provides a level of camouflage from potential predators in the wild. London's Tate Modern is set to open the doors to its newest exhibition named Electric Dreams Art and Technology, showcasing artists who pioneered the use of machines and algorithms to create mesmerizing and mind-blending art before the internet age. The exhibition will feature a diverse range of works that explores how technology could transcend traditional forms of art, offering a glimpse into the diverse technology. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, stay with us to get the details of what legislative business will be taken up in both houses of Parliament today. Boosting India's deep tech and quantum ecosystem, 8 quantum technology startups selected for support. IFFI is paying tribute to Bollywood's iconic stars who are completing their 100 years today.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News. A quick relook at the top stories now. Israel-Hezbollah 60-day ceasefire comes into effect. Netanyahu warns a forceful response to any Hezbollah violations. Chaos in Pakistan after forces launched midnight raid on ex-Prime Minister Imran Khan's supporters after thousands storm Islamabad demanding Khan's release. US trade partners say Trump's tariffs would harm all involved. Mexico warns it will kill jobs, hints at retaliation. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar attends the G7 FMM outreach session on Indo-Pacific, calls for practical solution and nimble diplomacy. India's Divith Reddy creates history, becomes world under-8 chess champion. Compatriot Satwik Swan makes it double delight, wins silver. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar attended the G7 FMM outreach session with Indo-Pacific partners on Wednesday. He noted that the Indo-Pacific is experiencing significant changes, including new convergence and partnerships, as well as anxieties, frictions and stresses. He also added that the region's landscape today creates a compelling argument for a wider collaborative approach. Dr. S. Jaishankar highlighted 6 key responses required in the Indo-Pacific region. More collaboration in areas like maritime, semiconductors, supply chains, etc. More resources both to support greater activities and projects as well as to avoid bad borrowing and unsustainable debt. More capacities in fields like governance, health, technology, disaster resilience and natural resource management. More interoperability and burden sharing to service the global commons and contribute to global good. Respect for international law as well as for mutuality of benefits. More options so that Indo-Pacific policymakers are able to make the right choices. In an era of collaborative endeavors, the Indo-Pacific will require practical solutions, nimble diplomacy, greater adjustment and more open conversations. The G7 can be one such partner. Also, on the sidelines of the G7 Foreign Ministers meeting, Dr. S. Jaishankar held important discussions with his counterparts from the US, Italy, South Korea and Japan. The minister met US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Dr. S. Jaishankar said that both sides are stronger when they work together. Two leaders discussed the importance of continued close cooperation to promote global security and prosperity. Dr. S. Jaishankar also held a warm meeting with Italy's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani. Both sides discussed opportunities in technology, innovation, clean energy, fertilizers, railways and investments. They also exchanged perspectives on IMEC, Ukraine and the Indo-Pacific. The recently announced Joint Strategic Action Plan guides our activities and look forward to welcoming him in India in 2015. On his meeting with South Korean counterpart Cho Tae-yeol on X, the minister said that he appreciates growing convergences on the Indo-Pacific, vibrant economic partnership, strong defense ties and active tech collaboration. Sharing the details of the meeting with Japanese Foreign Minister Takeshi Eyawa, the External Affairs Minister said that the two nations exchanged views on advancing our strategic partnership and cooperation in the Indo-Pacific. And now we'll get to Parliament updates. The lower house of Parliament will take up the Banking Laws Amendment Bill 2024 for consideration and passage. The bills will be moved by India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. India's Railways and INP Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw will move a bill further to amend the Railways Act 1989 for consideration and passage in the lower house. The Bharatiya Vayuyan Vidhayak 2024 and the Oil Fields Regulation and Development Amendment Bill 2024 are the two important bills that will be taken up in the upper house of the Indian Parliament for consideration and passage. Our correspondent Vishal Barrister joins us with more. Vishal, we've just given a broad outline of what legislative business will be taken up in both the houses. Very quickly, get us the significance of the business, help us understand the legislative business, the bills that will be taken up in both the houses today. Very quickly.
Very good morning to you, Preeti. Out of all the bills, the most interesting is the Banking Law Amendment Bill. Now, it is to provide ease of living for the common man, because after the holder of the account dies, it was very difficult for others if there is no proper nominee, or if there is a single nominee, to get their share from the bank. Now, this bill, this amendment would provide for 4 nominees once the account holder dies, and it also would give an option for the family to have the money back from the bank. Now, another important thing is about the Waqf bill. And the Joint Parliamentary Committee, which was formed to, find out the final draft, is not happy with the unilateral decision allegedly by the opposition of the chair. So they are demanding that the extension of the duration of the committee, Joint Parliamentary Committee, should be there. They met the Speaker also, because they are supposed to submit the report by Friday, which is the last working day of the first week of the Parliament. So we are expecting then that an extension would be given, and Waqf bill aims to curb the powers of the Waqf board because of all the alleged corruptions against the Waqf board across the country. Preeti?
All right, Vishal, thank you for joining in with those details. India's Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri addressed FIPPI Oil and Gas Awards 2023 ceremony. He highlighted India's energy sector growth and reforms and said that biofuel blending is good for the green energy transition along with our agricultural sector.
Biofuel blending is not only good for the green energy transition, but it is also good for our agricultural sector. And I think the amount of money we've saved on the import bill, 91,000 crores, that has gone to the farmers. But the stories in the other sectors are equally impressive. Compressed biogas, natural gas. And I think all this would not have happened if the actual economic operators hadn't shown the kind of aggressive desire for change, backed up by a benign and supportive framework of government policy.
Department of Science and Technology, DST, has taken a landmark step in empowering India's leadership in quantum technologies with the announcement of 8 innovative startups selected for support under its newly established guidelines. Take a look.
India is taking a giant leap in deep tech innovation with selection of 8 quantum technology startups under National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems and the National Quantum Mission. The announcement made by Dr. Jitendra Singh, Union Minister of State for Science and Technology, marks a pivotal moment for India's quantum ecosystem.
Under Prime Minister Science, Technology, Innovation Advisory Council, this was launched I think early this year, the National Quantum Mission with 4 verticals, the quantum computing, quantum communication, quantum sensing and quantum materials. The quantum simulation, of course, is in keeping with our energy systems, the power grids, renewable energy. We have set 0 target for ourselves for 2070, so it's going to come handy over there also. And, of course, as far as the satellite-based internet is concerned,
Department of Science and Technology has taken a landmark step in empowering India's leadership in quantum technologies with the announcement of 8 innovative startups selected for support under its newly established guidelines.
And as you saw just now, these startups with their stars, their eyes, have the urge to prove themselves in each of these areas. This kind of technology is something which is going to be adopted very fast once people understand the merits of it and once it becomes available, accessible in general.
all of which hinder.
The Department of Science and Technology has rolled out comprehensive guidelines to nurture startups in this cutting-edge field, offering resources, funding, mentorship and infrastructure. The overwhelming response highlights India's growing potential in quantum innovation. Taposh Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
India leads the world in cooperative movement with a share of 25%. However, for the first time in International Cooperative Alliance's 130-year-old history, India plays host to the global event. The ICA Global Cooperative Conference 2024 will enhance the visibility of Indian cooperatives across the global platforms.
So we were talking about the World Cup. You know, India is the world champion on cooperatives. If there has to be one World Cup winner on cooperatives, it's India. There are 3 million cooperatives in the world. India alone hosts more than 25% of those, 800,000 cooperatives. And with a whopping 290 million members, India is by far the leading country when it comes to the growth of the sector, the values of the sector.
Well, this has been a great opportunity, really. I come from Europe, I come from Italy, and this is the first time that we have been able to come to the Southeast Asia, and for the first time in India. So I think that this has also been very relevant, culturally speaking, because ICA is not just a movement that is a model, an entrepreneurial model, but is a cultural model. So being in India is also making us from Europe understand more and more other cooperative movements.
These 4 days in India, for the first time in our history, in 130 years of history of the International Cooperative Alliance, is the first time we organize a global conference here, and this is magnificent. Welcome, really powerful country, a strong cooperative movement, and our expectations are what we're seeing, a full room of cooperators from more than 100 countries coming. A lot of discussions, future-looking discussions, to keep on building the cooperative movement.
All right, Tiffany is hosting a special centenary celebration paying tribute to Bollywood's iconic stars who are completing their 100 years. The exhibition has been named as Safarnama. Deepika Mehta has more on this.
In a unique initiative, the International Film Festival of India, in its 55th edition, is conducting centenary celebrations of the legends of Indian cinema. IFFI 2024 promises to bring music, art and culture to the heart of entertainment. Keeping that up, a beautiful exhibition has been unveiled called Safarnama, Evolution of Indian Cinema at Kala Academy in Goa. The multimedia exhibition is set up by Central Bureau of Communication, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, with a view to reach out to the people regarding India's rich cinematic tradition and history. The history of Indian cinema dates back to the film Raja Harishchandra, when India was under colonial rule. Even with that, India managed to create a cinematic mind. That tradition has been kept intact till now. This particular initiative from IFFI aims at saluting that rich heritage and showcasing the tradition, especially before the young students, to entice their interests in cinema and the rich cultural value we have inherited through it.
Old is always gold. Raj Kapoor, when I was a child, those times we used to get nice stories, were very cool, nice, understanding, we used to सीख मिलती थी हम लोगों को. And there is a lot of difference, but मेरे बच्चों को मिला देखने के लिए, that is very important. So I have come with my school children. Even थोड़े actress without any makeup भी करते थे. It was natural था सब. And there is differentiate कर सकते हैं ना बच्चे कि क्या था पहले क्या अभी क्या है.
In the Safarnama exhibition, 4 galleries are dedicated for the 4 legends whose centenary is being celebrated at IFFI this year. Raj Kapoor, Mohammad Rafi, Tapan Sinha and Akkineni Nageswara Rao. The exhibition honors these 4 cinematic legends with curated content and rare archival materials, including posters, videos and memorabilia paying tribute to these iconic figures who shaped Indian cinema.
And there you saw a special tribute to the legends of Indian cinema that is being celebrated at the 55th edition of International Film Festival of India. With camera person Ajit, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Goa.
The aspect of cinema in Kashmir has changed a lot after the abrogation of Article 370. DD India's correspondent Deepika Mathur talked exclusively to the director of Article 370 movie, Aditya Suhas. Let's listen in.
All right, IFFI is also about, content of national importance, and right now we have with us National Award winner Aditya Suhas Jampali. How was the experience altogether while shooting for Article 370?
So I think somewhere the people were a little skeptical about, how will they shoot in Kashmir? What will be the conditions? How will the locals really react to it? But I'm really happy to say that entire Kashmir and the locals, the CRPF team there, the local line producers and the team, their team and the companies have completely backed us for the entire shoot. Challenging because of the other aspects of filmmaking, which is always difficult if we lose light very soon. Overall the team of P62 Studios and my team really backed very well, and we could deliver a film like that.
How did you take up that challenge when you were deciding the content on it, when you were delivering it to the people, and also you have to decide a set of audience in your mind?
I think the best way to really back yourself when you're dealing with such kind of a sensitive and political topic is research. And I think if your research is very factual and it's really fact-checked everywhere, and you don't have discrepancies or problems there, then I think you're when you start you start playing the ball literally. When you go on the shoot, you're much more, you can do it with freedom. We always believed that Kashmir hamara tha, hai aur rahega. It was always easy for us to really deliver a film like this.
During your shooting, how was your time? Was it comfortable? Did you face any sort of challenges, or the time is really changing when we talk about Kashmir?
100% it is changing. Post Article 370 abrogation, the market is completely opened. Economy has really flourished because of these kind of sectors opening up. And with that, you also now see a new culture which is coming up in Kashmir, which is cinema culture.
So there you heard Aditya who's talking about that, how there is a lot of scope in Kashmir. With camera person Ajit, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Goa.
You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Sri Lanka moves forward with bond swap to ease debt burden. In sports, India will take on Thailand in their opening match at the Junior Asia Cup men's hockey tournament. Stay with us for a quick glimpse of American Railroad music performance in New York. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to updates from the world of business. Sri Lanka has officially launched the exchange of its $12.55 billion international sovereign bonds. Bondholders have been invited to tender their existing bonds in exchange for new instruments over a 3-week period ending 12th of December. The ministry urged early participation, emphasizing that the terms were developed through extensive discussions over 2 years, culminating in agreements with key bondholder groups in September this year. President Dissanayake called the exchange a significant milestone, urging creditors to join efforts in bolstering Sri Lanka's recovery. The proposed restructuring aligns with Sri Lanka's IMF-supported program and aims to restore debt sustainability. New Zealand's central bank cut the cash rate by 50 basis points to 4.25% on Wednesday. The country's annual inflation ran near the 2% midpoint of its target range, and economic activity remains subdued. Now, this follows a similar move in October. The Reserve Bank of New Zealand is now forecasting the cash rate to be at 3.8% in the second quarter of 2025 and at 3.6% in the fourth quarter of 2025, suggesting more cuts than had been expected in August. The government says economic growth is expected to recover during 2025 as lower interest rates encourage investment and other spending. You're watching DD India News Hour. Now we turn focus to sports. 8-year-old Divith Reddy created history on Tuesday by becoming a world champion in the Under-8 World Cadets Chess Championship in Italy. The Hyderabad chess prodigy accumulated 9 out of a possible 11 points, the same as his compatriot Satwik Sawan. However, Divith clinched the gold based on the superior tie-break score, and Satwik Sawan settled for the silver medal. Divith, who has a FIDE rating of 1,784 points, prevailed, overcoming a 3-way tie against compatriot Satwik and China's Zemingo. Making a rollicking start to his campaign, Divith won his first 4 matches, but a brief slump followed with 2 consecutive losses. However, he bounced back in the tournament, showcasing his mental strength to win his final 5 rounds and secure the top spot. A confident India, coached by PR Srijesh, will start as firm favourites when they take on Thailand in their opening match of the Junior Asia Cup men's hockey tournament on Wednesday. India have been placed in Pool A along with Korea, Japan, Chinese Taipei and Thailand, with 10 teams participating in the event this time. The remaining 5 teams in Pool B are Pakistan, Malaysia, Bangladesh, Oman and China. India have won this tournament for a record 4 times, including in 2004, 2008, 2015 and 2023. They beat arch rivals Pakistan 2-1 in the final last year to lift the title. The second game between Gukesh and Ding Laren at the 2024 World Chess Championship ended in a draw after 23 moves on Tuesday. The 2 players made a draw by 3-4 repetition in Singapore. Both the players will return to the board for Game 3 on Wednesday. A total of 7.5 points from across 14 games are required for either player to claim the championship. A win garners 1 point, a loss equates to nil, while a draw shall reward both the players with 0.5 points each. As of now, Lorraine is leading in the championship 1.5, 0.5. If the match ends in a tie after all the 14 games, a tie break will be held the following day to determine the winner. The route for Winter Olympics flame was announced by the Milano Cortina 2026 Organizing Committee in Milan on Tuesday. The Flames route will take 63 days with 60 stops in Italy itself, taking in all 110 provinces, covering a journey of over 12,000 kilometers. The flame will begin its journey on November 26, 2025 in the Greek city of Olympia before arriving in Rome on December 4th. The torch will then be carried by around 10,000 people through Italy before finishing its journey at the San Siro Stadium in Milan at the opening ceremony on February 6, 2026. The Grammy and Pulitzer-winning artist Rhiannon Giddens has long made music that sheds light on America's untold stories. Her recent performance shines a light on the immigrant communities that play a pivotal role in the construction of America's railroads, a crucial chapter in the nation's history. With that, we end this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.